I am drinking a non-alcoholic margarita. I'm literally obsessed with these drinks at the moment. They slap so hard. This week, I have been in the warehouse all week prepping the Tina Turner musical. The Tina Turner musical, the Australian premiere. We bump into the theatre next week. Hence why I look like I've been working in a factory all week. You know, sometimes we dress up for these and other times you get me in all states. So I figured that today was actually the perfect day, as it was my last day in the warehouse. I won't even be there for the truck pack, unfortunately. I have another job to do. So the next time that I see all of our gear and all of our team will be when we're going into the theatre next week, which I'm really excited for. I've never been in the theatre. Like, I've been in the audience for the theatre that we're going into, but I've never worked in the theatre, and I'm told different reports from different people. Some people love it, some people hate it, so I'm very interested to see how I feel about it. But all this week, I've been thinking about things, obviously, that I want to improve on or do in a different way this time compared to the way that I've done them over the last year or in the last show in Phantom. And now, especially moving into the next week where I'm really thinking about putting those things into practice, it's the perfect time to make this video that I've been wanting to make before the show begins, which is about things that I will do differently on Tina compared to how I've done them in the past. Some of these are specifically sound related, some of them are just like general work-life balance related, and others are social, I guess. First up, cutlery. Get a secret set of cutlery and do not share it with anyone. On both of our seasons in Phantom in Sydney and in Melbourne, I brought in big sets of cutlery and they all go missing. By the end, there are still people who are like, oh my God, can I borrow your cutlery? And they never give it back. They never return it. Do not trust anyone with your cutlery. I said it in my packing my kit video and I will say it again, secret cutlery. But I'm doing that for a lot of things. I'm trying to bring a lot of things into work so that I don't have to then buy things. Like, I will be planning on getting a coffee machine for the office because I spend so much money a week on coffee. So if I can just make my own, honestly, the coffee machine will be paid for in maybe 2 months compared to what I would normally spend on coffee, which is embarrassing but true. It will also make me the favorite in the department, so that works as well. Make everything part of the plot so that there's no room for error. I feel like that one's pretty self-explanatory. I found when I was teaching other people or other people were going off my plots on Phantom that there were some things that I wasn't being specific enough about, so I really want to make sure that I am being very specific about the plots, about exact locations that cues happen, about the exact timing. Please excuse the meowing if you can hear it. I will show you the culprit of the meows later. I had written down from my last show earrigs, wire wrap instead of the foul Hellerman situation because the earrigs that I had made for Phantom did the job, but they weren't as pretty as I would have liked them to be. Turns out we're not using earrigs on this show, so that will be a goal for the next time. Get more creative with my meal prep. Include snacks and drinks, basically have a pantry at the theatre, which is something that I already kind of do, but that I could be doing a lot better. I really want to start prepping more meals and more creative meals, more healthy meals for work. I'm so sorry, Ty just sent me a message saying that Paris Gobel, I hope it's Gobble, the incredible choreographer, is in the building in Hamilton tonight and he's playing Hamilton. Oh my God. Anyway, I want to include snacks within my meal prep because it's so easy to snack, like for bump-in weather for 16-hour days, which is just absolutely insane. But I've started to get really good at my meal prep. I just want to continue that through the season and get a lot better at it. I'm planning on doing some videos actually about my meal prep for work. I'm going to do a couple of like meal prep with me for the weeks, or like show you what I take to work and what I eat in a week on the job, because it's actually really difficult to eat in this industry at like normal times because we work from the period that most people would normally be eating dinner. You either have to eat dinner super early and then you're really hungry by the time you get home because you've then just worked, or you are eating super late at night, which is bad for your digestion and makes you feel yuck and makes it hard to sleep and all of those things. Try a kit inside a vest. I bought like a utility vest last year that I was intending to turn into like a wearable mic kit, but I never got around to actually using it on Phantom because it arrived around Christmas time and we only had a couple months to go. But I will be trying to use that on Tina, and oh boy will it be helpful because the plot on Tina is crazy. Correct. The plot on Tina involves not only all the cast mics, but it involves an absolutely heinous handheld plot and microphone plot regarding the mics that go on stands, the band and their RF, and also the handhelds that come on and off stage for the concert bits and the music bits. There are 14 different microphones and or handhelds that I have to worry about that move throughout the theatre, some including under the stage, not including the band's RF and IEMs, which I'm also responsible for, and then also the cast mics. So I will be hauling ass this entire show. So I'm really going to need my hands free to carry stuff, to carry handhelds. So now I'm really excited that I got this vest and that I am ready to try it. I will keep you updated on how that goes. Speaking of handhelds, oh my God, stay on top of my handhelds. I literally in this list have the words in capitals, handhelds oh my God. The only major mistake that I made when I was on Hamilton and doing the A plot was there was a day, because the sound team sets, you know, and what did I miss? The little box opens up that has the microphones in it for the cabinet meeting, and then they take the mics out and use them. They are labeled with the characters who need to use them, but they are also usually just put in a certain arrangement so that the cast can pick it up. So the day that I did it, the first day I did it on my own, I placed them in the box and I was like, I'm not sure I did it right and I want to check. But then something happened during intermission or act one and we had to do some stuff, so I didn't get a chance to go and check it, but I just had this gut feeling that something was wrong. And then we get to the cabinet meeting. Oh my God, Washington picks up the mic, nothing. Looks at it, puts it back in the box, picks up the right one. That was my bad, that was a mistake, it was on me, and it haunts me every single day. I also saw someone comment on it in a thread on the Hamilton Australia Facebook group, which, reminder to everyone that's in there, is that cast and crew are in that group. We see everything that you post. So in that group, they were talking about things that they had seen happen in the show, that like maybe something went wrong and how the cast recovered amazingly, and just really giving credit where it's due for people who were recovering from these mistakes. But that was mentioned and I wanted to die because that was one of my greatest mistakes and it haunts me every single day. So being on top of these handhelds is going to be one of my biggest priorities. Speaking of things that I'm stressed about due to my work traumas, the biggest mistake that happened on Phantom was regarding our batteries. Batteries are something that gets shit over time. There's a better way to say that, but I've been at the warehouse all week, so that's what you're getting. If something is wrong with a battery charger, or the battery is not being charged correctly because they are being completely drained and recharged all the time, one of the main issues that you can have is that the battery will stop holding charge for as long, or it will not charge completely. If something goes wrong with the charger or a couple of chargers and they are charging batteries incorrectly or not charging them fully or not recognizing how much charge the battery can take and overcharging them, all of these problems with the charging, if those things start to happen and you do not clock which charger or which battery is the problem and remove it from the set and investigate, you could taint the entire collection of batteries that you have and not know which charger is the problem. And this is exactly what happened. So I now have a very, very, very picky battery system that I will be aggressively sticking to, and the swings, everyone else is gonna hate it, but we will be sticking to it because we will be on this show for a long time. These batteries are going to start going bad and we need to be able to make sure that we're on top of it when that happens. All of our batteries and all of the charges will be numbered, and every number needs to align for every single charge. That way, when a battery starts to not perform as well, we'll be able to recognize the one it's coming from and figure out whether it's the charger or the battery. Another thing that will help with that is trying to charge batteries while we're in the building so that we can keep an eye on them in the process. That might not always be possible, but we will see how we go. Another one is to have things established with the cast from the start as part of the routine and our expectations of them as the sound department. Things like where they put their mic at the end of the show, how they manage their positions throughout the show, or where their position is meant to be. The cast already have 150,000 million things to worry about in the process of them getting ready for the show and doing the show. So if we can just be clear from the beginning about what we expect from them, what we need from them, and what we are able to help them with, then it's something that they can just be sure of from the start and they don't have to worry about. Go straight to using Copic markers. Do not paint mics that don't need it. I really want to be preserving the mics that we have on this show and constantly touching them up with paint and trying to get paint off them and things like that. It's just some fiddling with the cables that I don't think is necessarily necessary if I don't need to. My main goal is to protect the mics for as long as possible so they stay sounding great for as long as possible. I really struggled with the acrylic paints that a lot of people are using to paint mics. Maybe there's a trick and I'm just stupid, which is also definitely a high possibility. But I found that on Phantom that was really not working for me, but that when I started just using the Copic markers and then spraying them with a picture varnish, that was working perfectly. The ones that I did in that way, I didn't have to touch up for the rest of the season when I did it. I'm not sure how many mics we're even going to need to paint on this show due to the fact that they are under wigs for almost all of the cast as far as I'm aware. But if it does need to happen, then I want to do it correctly from the start. Learn the show before we start to help with my efficiency of the plot. This is something that I'm already doing. I have been listening to the soundtrack nonstop, listening to the show recording nonstop. I've been watching the show archival as I have been building things or putting stuff together, which has been really helpful. It just means that when we get there, I'm not trying to figure out what is going on with the show as well as what I'm doing at those times. I'm just trying to figure out what I'm doing at those times while I know what's going on or what could be be coming next so I can be prepared. And the last one is to learn more about the system, which means doing more of the prep before bump in, which I have been doing, and also being more involved in the bump in. When we did Phantom, I was not part of any work before we got into the venue, so all of my pre-production prep work that I've been doing this week, I had to do during the bump in. So I felt pretty absent from the bump in. I felt like I didn't really know a lot about the system that we were using or where everything was or what elements were important so that I could help if anything went wrong or so that I could just kind of know what was going on. I very much knew what was going on in terms of the mics, but in terms of the rest of our system, I felt like I could have been more aware of those things. One of my goals is to mix, and that requires knowing a lot about the system. All of the things that I feel like I have holes in my knowledge about, I have asked to be part of during the bump in, and will be making sure that I can take extra notes about. I will be able to be present for so much more of the bump in because of the fact that I have been doing all of my prep work before we get in the show. I didn't film any of the warehouse work because filming in the warehouse is kind of a no-no because of everything that's in there. And also it would have been a little bit boring for most of it, honestly. I will show you when we get in the theater during my bump in videos, all of the things that I am doing, all of the things that I did during the pre-production period, and keep you updated on where we're at. A lot of the stuff that I did during the pre-prep stuff in the warehouse, you will have seen me do in the Phantom bump in video anyway. I will leave that linked below this video and also in the bump in video that I do for Tina, just so you can see those things in action. Or there's a couple of them that I've left one or two of the things to do it to so that I can still show you during the bump in video. But I feel like that will also make for a far more entertaining bump in video because I will actually be doing the bump in instead of just locking myself away in the office. So far, those are all of the things on my list that I will be trying to do differently or that I am adjusting from previous ways that I have done things. I will keep you updated on all of those things as we go, and I am so excited to take you along for this show. I'm so excited for this show. It is so technically interesting and complicated, which means that it will be a fun learning curve for me for a lot of it, and that it will be really satisfying when we nail it. The process of going through bump in tech previews and getting to opening night with this entire company will be something that will be so satisfying because we are all working towards one goal. There are so many moving parts in the machine that are working towards a goal, and when we nail it, it feels so good. That is why opening night is so special. It's not just because there's an audience there, we get audiences and previews as well. We made it, we did it, we pulled this show together and we made it happen from all of these moving parts, from all of these different departments. Every single person in the building matters, every single person's job is detrimental to the show, and when they all come together, it makes something beautiful. I will leave a link to the show's website in the description so that you can check it out and go grab tickets because it's in Sydney for a little bit and you should see it. I will see you next in the theatre.